Tonight we cap off a week of racing at the historic New Smyrna Speedway. 125 laps in the race, one wraps 125 with absolutely no room to spare in a half mile of pavement. All while drivers fight and claw for whatever points they can get early in this short season. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual New Smyrna Speedway. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the Sim Auto Racing Association Pierce Fleet Super Series. Pierce Fleet Service Super Series at this virtual rendition of this half-mile speedway in the virtual New Smyrna, Florida. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Pierce Fleet Service, Race 1 Wraps, and Whiplash Sim Cams, and qualifying is just about to begin. 15 seconds left in practice. Alex McCullum, Ty Majeski, and Josh Cottle pacing the session, and I think we'll be seeing a lot of that here in just a moment in qualifying as well. There you take a look at the racetrack, and this is a really cool place to be for round 3, very early in this super late model season, and I think certainly going to be crucial to the rest of the season. This is, you know, we had Kern County, that's kind of an outlier, Irwindale, kind of an outlier, those two Californian short tracks, but here at New Smyrna, I think we're getting a real taste of what we have to come the rest of the season. Let's talk a little bit about the track, a little bit more about the track, I suppose. It's a pretty well cut and dry track map at the very least. It looks pretty plain. It's just a half-mile long straights, tight corners, not a whole lot of room on the racing line. We'll talk more about point standings, though, when we actually get to the race session. For now, let's just get down to qualifying. Worth mentioning, weather conditions at the top of the screen, 76.5 degrees in the air, 80 degrees on track. I think that's pretty important as we send these drivers around. Cameron Hamilton, Alex McCullum, and so many others hitting the racetrack at their first opportunity to do so. Now, we'll, of course, take you through this qualifying session as Alex McCullum goes to the top of the board. Matt Rolfe now on track in car number 0. We'll take you through this qualifying session just to see kind of who goes where, who is going on to the feature, and who maybe will be your non-qualifiers, your did not qualify drivers, as Matt Rolfe works here on lap number 2. Actually, not lap number 1 for car 0. Harbert's quick, Schaefer Jr. quick, Cole Cabry looks like we'll go 4th quick so far. Cameron Hamilton in the number 10, 5th quick. Matt Rolfe goes 8th. Trayton Lapsevich, real quick at Irwindale a week ago, will jump on board with the Canadian, and this will be the beginning of his first flying lap. Lap 1 on board just like that for Trayton Lapsevich. That's going to put him at a 16.725, 11th quick lap 1. Grant Brown on track in car 14. Good to see his Chevrolet Camaro in attendance. There's Justin Laxton. How about Dustin Monburquette? He was quick a week ago. And Trayton Lapsevich, second lap down, goes slower. Brett Suggs going to go 14th quick in his Cadillac. Grant Brown's run is done. How about Tyler DiVinanzo? He jumps into the 17th spot. Caden Lapsevich into 18th. And let's see, who else is coming around? Aaron Abendroth, car 65 on board. Not a lot of time to get these laps in. Got to do it quick. Abendroth comes around, completes lap number 2. Going to be a 16.927, 27th quick. Meanwhile, Ryan Kuhn going to hit the track. Sean Kuhl in the number 24. And maybe the heaviest of all the hitters, Ty Majeski, lap 1. And he's going to come down to a slow and I think a stop. I think he's going to go for that again. I believe he got the wall at a turn number 2, and we'll see if he actually gets back in the car or not. Dustin Monburquette, though, on the racetrack. Lap 2, 7th quick. Jeremy Ashby in the 0-1. Sean Kuhl goes 24th. So far, bottom of the board, Justin Laxton, Aaron Abendroth, and Rocky Boyd. Ryan Kuhn works on lap 1. There's Jim Cottle Jr. turned around. That's not a good sign. And Ty Majeski working on the tires here, coming to his final flying attempt. Lap number 2 underway for car 98. There's a 98 on track. Ryan Kuhn as well in the 72. Works around turns 3 and 4. This is his final go at qualifying. 16.659. That's not pole, but it will go up the board to 6th. Ty Majeski 5.96. That's good for 2nd. Wow. Buzzer beater lap from car 98. Dante Curtis on track. Looks like John Owlett has used up all of his attempts, and he does not get a lap of record. Dante Curtis, same story. See what Jim Cottle Jr. can do. This is his last attempt. It's a 6.35. That's good for 5th. Par 15. That also a bit of a buzzer beater lap. So tentatively, we can take a look at your drivers getting in. Alex McCullum, Ty Majeski, Josh Cottle here in the top 10. Dustin Marquette rounds it out. Down here through 20th. Trevor Edwards going to make the field. Devin Landry. Spencer Dickinson right in the smack middle of this group. Kyle Eli there at 11th. And down through 30th spot, Kyle Souza, the 30th position qualifier. And we'll just turn things over to Matt Rolfe and everybody trying to sort out the lineup here. It's worth mentioning, as we get ready to go for round 3, this will be the first round that we take the top 8 and set them by points. By reverse points, actually. So as opposed to an invert, they will actually be lined up reverse order of their points. Just the top 8 qualifiers. The pole winner is still Alex McCullum. Gets the, I believe... what is it? Matthews Designs pole award. I got to get myself familiar with that one. But Alex McCullum, very, very fast in that one car, has the field cleared by, well, I mean, has Ty Majeski cleared by just 4/1000ths of a second, the rest of the field by a bit more. But while the lineup gets set, let's take a look at point standings coming into this third round of the season. Ryan Kuhn on top. Alex McCullum, very notably, in that second spot. A separation of 9 points between the two of them. Jacob Harbert still very, very close, very much in this fight up front. And I would say, it's very early to say, but I would say that the top 4 look good and everybody else is going to be a long shot. That said, we still have a lot of racing to go. It's hard to be very matter-of-fact about anything. We only have 2 races on the board, but that at least is a look at your top 10. Schedule for the rest of the season. Kern County is out of the way, thanks to Crow Sim Shots. Boyd's Automotive picking up last week at Irwindale. This week, it's all about race1wraps.com as we head to New Smyrna Speedway. The next race we are at, well, the next race for the series, I suppose, is in a couple of weeks. Studio 10 Wraps taking us to Nashville Fairgrounds. Southern National checks in on Leap Day this year. Five Flags, Mystery Night, brought to you by Fast AF Designs, New Hampshire, Slinger, Oxford Plains, and Lanier. Still plenty of racing to go this season, and plenty of time to get anything done. As we wait for the lineup to be set, looks like Matt Rolfe is working on it. In the meantime, we can take a look at least what's upcoming the rest of the week at Pitstop.tv. Nothing the rest of this week anyways, and then we only have one broadcast next week. Of course, no broadcast on Wednesday. Go have a great Valentine's Day with whoever that may be, but Tuesday evening we're racing at Martinsville Speedway with the Lucky Motorsport Solutions Elevated Performance Street Stocks, and then we follow them up with another race. We go from Martinsville to Myrtle Beach the week after, and that'll be round 15 of 16 for them. That's their Final Four cutoff race. And then we head out to Talladega Superspeedway with that brand new logo with the SARG Super Speedway Series. And then finally we pick back up with SARA action on that Thursday, February 22nd, as we head to Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. So while the lineup gets set, don't go anywhere, sit tight. I promise we aren't going anywhere. I do also want to mention, actually, before we head to break, We are on Twitch for the first time in round about a calendar year. It's been a while since we've been on Twitch, but we are back on Twitch this evening. First broadcast back on the platform, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Kick, it all now applies. And Twitch has changed their terms of service, basically allowing multi-streaming again. It's a valuable platform. We're back on it. That's a good thing. But of course, I think most of you are on YouTube. I'm sure some of you are over on Facebook. Regardless, thanks for joining us this evening, and we will see you in a few moments. Don't go anywhere. Hopefully we're seeing you the entire time. Don't go anywhere. We still have racing action to come. 125 laps coming up in just a few moments. Welcome back to the virtual new Smyrna Speedway. Round 3 underway. Well, nearly underway. I guess we can say technically underway. Qualifying complete. Warm-up on track currently at this virtual half mile. And as we throttle up the sounds of the cars down below, it is again, good virtual day, if you will, to be at the racetrack, be at New Smyrna in particular. Really fun track. Going to be a lot of fun, I think, this evening with this super late model. Of course, talked a little bit about how tough it is to drive last week at Irwindale Speedway, and I'm sure that topic will come up a bit more this evening. Weather conditions, we looked at them in the previous session as well. 75.9 degrees in the air, 80 on the track, and they are available at racesara.com, but still good to go over in case it comes up for future reference. Temperatures are always fun to talk about. Cars on track, though, quickly finding some speed in this warm-up session. We can take a look straight at warm-up times. McCullum at a 16.887, fastest so far. Of course, the lineup is set. These guys are just running laps to get warmed up. And we're going to go racing for 125 laps. We can talk about those Whiplash SimCam's race details. To 125 lap race, open setups, no change tires. What's important is that top 8 points handicap will change the top end of the lineup. Basically, the top 8 qualifiers will be sectioned off and reordered by their positioning in the point standings, and it'll be a reverse order of those positions. So whoever the highest qualifier is, I suppose, in points, if that makes sense, of those top 8, whoever's highest in points will start 8th. Whoever's lowest in points will start 1st. That makes sense. The pole award still, of course, goes to Alex McCullum, fastest qualifier, but a fun little way to kind of change who is where, I suppose, and give an opportunity to some drivers that might be coming in, a little bit of speed in qualifying, a little bit down the order, though, in points. And that very well could put Ty Majeski on pole, depending on, or close to it, depending on how many points he was able to earn. I don't know if he ran Kern. I know he didn't run last week. Very well could reorder our grid quite a bit towards the front of the field. Of course, caution laps will count, worth mentioning as well. And we are working quickly into the evening in Sim. You see the golden hour hitting New Smyrna Speedway. Pretty a fun race. Cole Caber getting into the session, Trayton Lapsovich, Brett Suggs, Matt Rolfe, Grayson Ward. A stacked field as usual. I mean, we've got, of course, Ty Majeski's 10K, Ryan Kuhn's 10K. Going to be a lot of fun, but you don't need me to tell you that. Let's revisit point standings, though, and just take a look at who is where coming in. Ryan Kuhn, top dog, 9 points up on Alex McCullum out of New Jersey. They each have a win. Kuhn at Kern County, McCullum at Irwindale last week. Jacob Harberts would like to grab a win. Kyle Eli, Dylan Bates in that same category. John Owlett even. Although I don't think John made the race. Which is... no, he did. Okay. Looks like he did still make the race. He's going to have a pretty low starting position for this one. Dustin Mombercat, Ryan Matthews, Eric Tracy, and Josh Connell wrap up the remainder of your top 10. And how about Jim Cottle Jr., that buzzer beater lap in qualifying, he and Ty Majeski both just making it in time. Want to give a nod as well to our partners with the series, of course, 1-8 Coffee Company and Tyler Payne's new adventure there. So many great partners with this series. Pedley's Garage Incorporated, Pierce Fleet Service, Race1Wraps.com, this evening's presenting partner, RS Center Trucking, SARA Next Gen Templates, SimWrapMarket.com, Sousa Media, Studio 10 Wraps, Toxic Media Solutions. There's barely room for them all. Boyd's Automotive, Pro Sim Shots, Davis Chassis Works, DriverTees.com, Fast AF Designs, Hyde's Pride Leather and Sheepskin, International Short Track Association, Jeff Bine Jr. Art, Justin Brooks Designs, and Matthews Designs. A nod to our partners here at the page as well, or here at the channel as well, Whiplash SimCams, ATVO, and CC's Business. Just moments left in this warm-up session. Let's go and take a few laps around with somebody by the name of Jim Cottle Jr., I guess. We were going to go for Grayson Ward, and then he escaped. And a lot of these guys are going for flyers, then heading back to the pit lane. But on board here, car 15, real quick in qualifying, put himself up in the top 10, I think 5th. And Cottle Jr. across the line that time while we were on board, runs a 17-1. Not too far off of these guys' fastest times. And that'll be that for the warm-up session. That means we are just about ready to go racing. The sun has set, that's the picture, or at least close to it, as we are set to go with Parker Traves joining us from pole position. Ty Majeski was handicapped all the way back. Yeah, that 10K I rating, I think, earned him not the pole position, as it almost could have been. Well, we'll take a look at this evening's starting grid then. 125 laps up next for the Race 1 Wraps 125. Round 3 of 11. Kind of a short season. It'll be tough to get those points in early. Parker Traves joins us from position number 1 by points reorder. Jim Cottle Jr. rolls off from second place. Joe Schaefer Jr., Josh Cottle, that's row number 2. Jacob Harberts and Alex McCullum make up row 3. McCullum, last week's winner, off of row 3. He's not too far back. Ryan Kuhn, Ty Majeski, row number 4. To round out your top 10, Cole Cabrey, Dustin Monberquette will hold on to their qualifying positions. Kyle Eli, Kyle Meyer, row 6. Cameron Hamilton, injured's a little bit loud. Cameron Hamilton, Grayson Ward, row 7. How about Trayton Lapsovich, Spencer Dickinson, Devin Landry, Brett Suggs. And to round out your top 20, Keith Jeffrey and Trevor Edwards. The rest will page on by. Bottom of the screen as there goes John Owlett Jr. onto the racetrack. And there are your leaders. Say your leaders, the race hasn't even started yet. Whiplash SimCam's race details one more time. 125 lap race, open setups, no change tires, none in the pit lane. You are stuck with these 4 Hoosiers for the entirety of this race. And of course, that's not too bad. Caution laps will count. These guys will knock a few off if we do get a few cautions. Certainly want to take a detour, though, from the cautions we saw 1 week ago. We'll turn things over to car number 60 in just a moment. Pace car will stay on this lap. 1 or 2 more extra pace laps for these drivers. Let's take you through some of the onboard cameras. John Owlett back here looking at the entire field up ahead. Scary sight. Daniel Foles with an onboard. Of course, everybody has these onboard cameras. Fun to go through them, though. Trevor Edwards, Kyle Eli, Grant Brown inside the car, just about what the driver's seeing as he scrapes the wall into turns 3 and 4. The iRacing.com pace car down to the safety of pit lane. We're green. Lap 1 complete, and boy did it go by in a hurry. First battle, Joe Schaefer, Josh Cottle, that's for 3rd spot. Schaefer on the inside in the 6 car, Harbert's just behind, he's 3rd in points. And Alex McCullum beginning his pursuit towards the front, Ryan Kuhn as well. Let's not look past Cole Cabrey, Ty Majeski back there. Parker Traves, though, quickly trying to get away from this field. And there's a spinner. That's car number 10, Cameron Hamilton. Caution. It's a parking lot in the back. Daniel Foles, Blake Thronberg, John Owlett caught up, and that's what happens when you start towards the rear. Nowhere to go. Tell you what, though, that iRacing.com pace car is getting it. Spencer Dickinson, Blue and gold, number 6. Devin Landry got loose on the inside, down the backstretch. That opened the door on the outside of the racetrack. Dickinson, though, well, he gets crashed trying to avoid something. I say crashed, he really just got tipped around, which is, of course, good news for him. So if we look a little further up in the field, going on here, the 10 of Hamilton got into the 21 of Eli. That's where they stack up. The 16 of Monburquette got a piece. Landry checked up nicely. So as far as the actual cause of the incident, you're looking at car 10. We'll go on board with him. Just gets into Eli, throttled up and got him some more, and there you go. The 76 of Caden Lapsevich got a piece, and John Owlett, as I mentioned. I mean, Blake Thronberg, nowhere to go when you're that far back, and everybody just stacks up ahead of you. And Hamilton will have to go to the back end of the field. He was great at Irwindale last week, at least my memory tells me he was great. Certainly said his name a few times. 10 car was looking pretty solid. This week, though, that is some damage he did not want to take on early. Daniel Folds had a piece of that. His left front is just a little bit knocked in. Eric Tracy, I believe, got a piece as well in the 66 car. And he'll go a lap down along with Daniel Folds. Blake Thronberg, pretty solid bit of that contact. John Owlett went for a spin. Rocky Boyd III, I believe, was a small part of it. Cody Kelly, Grant Brown, Caden Lapsevich. Some big contact there as well to the 32 car, Trevor Edwards. Well, a few laps knocked off the board anyways. Lap 8 will be complete this time by Parker Traves, race leader. Jim Cottle Jr., second place. Gonna re-rack him, restack him, go back. Green flag racing this time by Green once again. And crashing hard into turn number 1. That was the 75 in the wall. We stay green. That was a big hit for Cody Kelly. I think it was Kelly. Green up front, though. Parker Traves got away pretty quickly on that restart. Side by side for third as Schaefer Jr. moves into the second spot. Cottle Jr. trying to hang on, and here comes the 13. Josh Cottle right on through. Ryan Kuhn in fifth, looking for more. Parker Traves fastest that time by, and uncontested for the time being. Talked a bit at Irwindale about how these drivers might pace themselves and take it easy on these tires. I think with that invert, though, if you're Alex McCullum, if you're Ryan Kuhn, you have to burn these tires a little bit early, then maybe ride around, as there's a big block thrown there by Cole Cabry into turn 3, working against Dustin Monburquette. Jacob Harberts makes the pass around the 15 car of Jim Cottle Jr. And, whoa, Ty Majeski just barely going to hang on. Got a little bit hairy for a moment. Single file, though, just about the entire field. Traves out to nearly a half-second advantage. You'll see him fly by the speed shot this time by. 14 laps complete. Only 2 cars a lap down. 28 still on the lead lap. And out front, it's all car number 6, then this, the 60 rather, then the 6. Then Josh Cottle, Ryan Kuhn, Alex McCullum through the rest of your top 5. Trayton Lapsevich working his way through this field. Lapsevich now into the 9th position, started 15th, and has been moving up since. Did a nice job of getting away from whatever that was in the front stretch for caution number 1. And if you go back to last week at Irwindale, absolutely dominated the race. Had the field covered until, unfortunately, but a netcode contact between himself and a blinking Alex McCullum. Took the 20 car out of the race, and there's a spin. That's going to be the 88 Keith Jeffrey around on the front stretch. And it looks like Jeffrey might be okay. I don't see much damage, if any. The Cottle Captures Cadillac gets back going. We'll take a look. These two were battling for a while. Keith Jeffries in that blue 88 car. Kyle Eli up top in the 21. Of course, Eli was that car that got turned around in the initial crash earlier in this race. And he does the turning this time. A little tap around. And that is that. Pretty simple one that time through. And Kyle Eli will take the trip, well, first down the pit lane to take some repairs, but we'll go to the rear of this field, I would have to imagine, for fault of that one. Daniel Folds, your wave around car, lucky dog I should say. Go wave around this time around for Eric Tracy. He should be caught a lap down, it seems. Joe Schaefer Jr., though, pretty decent, I would say, at Irwindale a week ago. Wasn't necessarily top 3 speed, so it's good to see the 6 car where he is. I know he got caught up in a crash late in that race. Certainly could use the points this evening, and it's looking good so far for the number 6 car. Josh Cottle just behind, just breaking into the top 10 in the standings. And if that Cottle captures Firebird, could, again, absolutely use the points. Ty Majeski, I believe, first start of the season. Good to see him here. Jim Cottle Jr. has fallen back through this top 10. He now runs 8th after starting 2nd. Then Trayton Lapsevich and Cole Cabry join us in this group as well, at least in the top 10 drivers. Weather conditions, it's actually warmed up a little bit on the track as the air temp drops ever so slightly. And again, this is the most, I guess, the largest number of partners I've ever seen with an iRacing league. We've got 1-8 Coffee Company, Pedley's Garage, Pierce Fleet Service, Race1Wraps.com, tonight's presenting partner, RS Center Trucking, SARA Next Gen Templates, SimRepMarket.com, Sousa Media, Studio 10 Wraps, Toxic Media Solutions, and most of these, as we go to page number 2, most of these partners are race sponsors as well. Boyd's Automotive, Pro Sim Shops, Davis Chassis Works, DriverTees.com, Fast AF Designs, Hyde's Pride, International Short Track Association, Jeff Pine Jr., Justin Brooks Designs, and Matthews Designs. This time by, we'll go back Green Flag Racing. Just shy of 25 complete at New Smyrna. Josh Cottle, big restart, will drive to the inside of the number 6 car of Schaefer Jr., and that'll open the door as well for Alex McCullum, or at least it would have, but we've got a caution on the racetrack once again, and it's going to be car number 8, or so it seems. Fresh off the restart, John Owlett, I believe, had to use a provisional for this race. And one car in the fence on the top side. That might explain why he's turned around. And, well, I think the reaction to that car on the top side of the track is why he got turned. But not the greatest look there, admittedly. So from the drone above the racetrack, that was the 9 of Edwards, and Owlett that time drove across the 10 of Hamilton. Eli got another piece of it. Hamilton has been a part of 2 of these accidents, and Eli has been a part of all 3. And, well, Eli has done the turning once. He's been turned once, and that time was just in the wrong spot at the wrong time. Not how they wanted the evenings to go, for sure. Bit of a slow start here at New Smyrna, that's okay. Look again at the schedule for this season. I think tracks to highlight personally, and I don't know if this is going to translate necessarily to the best racing, but tracks to highlight personally definitely are Southern National. I'll actually just, there we go, highlight the track itself. Here we go, this way. Southern National, a highlight for me personally. Five Flags, I think, will be a little bit, just because it's, well, it's Five Flags Speedway with a super late model. That's a pretty good combo. Mystery Night, definitely one to watch. New Hampshire will be interesting. So we do this one. Southern National, Mystery Night, New Hampshire, Slinger, Oxford, and Lanier. Back half of the schedule, I think, is going to be the most interesting for sure. The Slinger and Oxford little duo there. I think Lanier is maybe better suited for these cars, but Slinger and Oxford will be a challenge. Of course, Oxford Plains hosts the Oxford 250 yearly, and I'd imagine a couple of these drivers in the field will have some experience with that one, but regardless, some challenging tracks. And just off the pit lane, Dylan Bates and Blake Thronberg. Bates, high in the standings, top 5 in the standings. That's a problem for car 91 if he's just getting off the pit lane in time for this restart, as Parker Traves will lead us back into the restart zone. Josh Cottle outside trying to game it. The 60 is off and away. We're back green, and the race 1 wraps 125. Quick look there, Alex McCullum and Joe Schaefer Jr. Battle behind, though. The 80 and the 20. That is Harbert's down low, and Caden Lapsovich. Trayton Lapsovich, rather, up top. Caden's further back in the 76 car. Jim Cottle Jr., Cole Cabry in that fight as well, as Schaefer still trying to hang on here at Alex McCullum. He's got the bottom side, which is nice. McCullum's got the top. He's got to do a little more work, and a crash in the back. John Owlett is around, trying to get going. Try not to bring out a yellow. Cash money, we're good. So McCullum still working there on the 6 car. Door to door. Beautiful onboard shot. Sunset in the background and all. That time out of the corner, though, the JDR Graphics #1 going to win the fight, it looks like. Well, Schaefer doesn't want to give it up, but, yep, there he goes. You'll have to. Ty Majeski beating down the door. He's going to work to the inside, and car 98 will dispatch the #6 pretty quickly. Ryan Kuhn now coming through, and as soon as you get to the top side, with all of these guys behind that have significantly higher I ratings, that might be it. Schaefer, though, not going down without a fight. He's got Harberts lined up along with Trayton Lapsovich, Cole Cabry, Jim Cottle Jr., and finally, Dustin Marquette will be the back end of that line. On board here with Marquette, running 11th. And hey, if you're new to the channel, which I'm sure a lot of you are, even if you watched last week at Irwindale Speedway, definitely give us a share, a follow, a subscription. That was Marquette into the wall. It looks like they're getting hairy up here with the #6. Lapsovich was all kinds of not straight down the backstretch. And that's going to be a turn for Schaefer up the racetrack, and that's a caution. It's going to involve the other Lapsovich, the brother. And I can't imagine that Schaefer is at all pleased. Being passed up lap after lap, but of course fighting, trying to keep everything he can. The top side just not what you want it to be. There was door-to-door contact there. Schaefer kind of came off the wall a hair. But then down here in turn 1, they were just so close. As soon as Schaefer moved at all towards the corner, he was destined to be turned around. As Dickinson gets a piece, you see Caden Lapsovich having a little bit of contact. Take a look back one more time. Here off the corner, watch the 6 up top. Even slow it down a little bit. Puts a lot of wheel in it last second to keep it off the fence. Comes down the racetrack a little bit, gets into Trayton. And I don't know if it's out of frustration or if it's even... I don't know, he's right on Schaefer's door down the front stretch where the wall kind of bends towards turn 1. Schaefer'd be okay if not for that hit there from Dickinson. From 1-6 car to the other, that puts Schaefer in the wall and dents up the right front of that beautiful white and green machine. No decision yet, it looks like, on who's claiming that. A couple of cars in the pit lane, though. Bates, Tracy, and Folds. Kyle Eli out of the race, it looks like. So 29 of 30 cars still running. And here is the last of them. 3 laps down, actually. Grant Brown has not been higher than 19th spot yet this race. I'd say he's not having a very good day. Schaefer will stay 16th. Lapswitch will stay 7th. Looks like that might go down to later review, if anything. And we're going to double up this time. 1 to go signal to the iRacing.com safety car. Drivers will double up, assume positions inside, outside. One more look. Final look at the Whiplash SimCam's race details. No change tires in the house. The way late model racing ought to be, maybe. Parker Traves led every single lap thus far. He was the beneficiary of the points realignment in the top 8. Green flag back out for Traves in the 60. Big launch. Alex McCullum, 3rd place on this restart. Gets clear of the 98 of Majeski real quick. They move around behind. Everybody trying to find their spot. The top 3 getting away quickly. Majeski gets in line for 5th. Trayton Lapsevich dives to the inside of the 98 car. Aggressive is the 20. And down to turn 1 this time. He'll settle to be alongside with Jacob Harberts, and there's a lot happening in the back. I mean, these guys are all over the place. They're side by side. Look like maybe that's going to be Jacob Harberts and Jim Connell Jr. Sure enough, that's going to be for the 7th spot. The 80 car starting to fall backwards on this restart, just like we saw Cottle have to go through earlier in this race. So maybe a little bit of orange flavored sweet karma potentially. The 15 had to go back, and now he's coming back up. Nothing Harberts did, but that's the conveyor belt. One goes back, one goes forward. The bottom side just continues to be dominant. Bob Burkett's even grabbed a spot or 2 off these restarts, and now Cole Cabry will look to get by the 80 if the hole opens up for the Floridian. He's got to wait for the 15 car to do his thing, though. Jim Cottle, great lap in qualifying, able to put himself in the top 8. Started 2nd after the points modification to the top of the field, but cannot get by this 80 car. The Matt Julas C Speed Shop, number 80, doing a great job up top. Caution flag, and Dylan Bates might have been the caution. And yes, he was. This is a lap prior to the incident. And it's eerily similar to the incident itself. Bates trying to kind of crowd Rocky Boyd on the racetrack ever so slightly. And watch here in turns 1 and 2, turn 1, just how similar that looks. That time, though, Boyd just got the 91, sent him for a spin, and Dylan grabs the gear, gets going back quickly. 16 car on board. That's the wrong 16. Here we go. On board with Rocky Boyd. I don't know that either driver did anything particularly incorrect, but it does end up with one car sideways and the other not so sideways. Bates going to work into the pit lane. He's just about to go a lap down. There goes Joe Schaefer Jr. And Dylan Bates will just beat the pace car to the line. Grant Brown gets a lucky dog. He'll be 2 laps down. And as the field works around the racetrack, we'll look again at what's upcoming for us at Pit Stop TV. A lot of short track racing. That's a good thing. We like short track racing here at the channel. Martinsville and Myrtle Beach next up for some street stocks. And I know at least SARA is completely off next week. I think you guys have a week reprieve for, I guess, NASCAR's Daytona week, Valentine's Day, all of that fun stuff. But then we come back to action as well. We stay in action technically next week, but a lighter load for us at the channel. Only the one race from street stocks at Martinsville. Then we take the street stocks to Myrtle Beach. That'll be their final race to get drivers into the top 4. We're taking 4, resetting them to 0 based on points, and it's just a 1-race shootout. Then Wednesday the 21st, we go racing at Talladega Super Speedway. That'll be the 4th race of the SARG Super Speedway Series, brought to you by Sunwest Construction. They go to Talladega before we follow up and go racing once again at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Another quick nod to all of our partners with the series. This, of course, the Sim Auto Racing Association Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. It's the Race1Wraps.com 125, and the green flag is back in the air at New Smyrna. Big jump on the restart for Traves once again, side by side though for second, and McCullum will not back out. Jumps to the inside of the 13 car alongside and just about even across the stripe, and Alex McCullum is into second position. Cottle lets him clear. Majeski now going to look. Ryan Kuhn now on the top side of that conveyor belt. The place you don't want to be. He's going to grab the fence. And you saw Ty give him all the room in the world to gather that up. Harbert's this time able to get it on the bottom side. Cabry going to try and dispatch of Trayton Lapsevich. Cottle's caught back up top. Brett Suggs. Great positioning on this restart. He's into 9th as Lapsevich gets clear in behind, and Suggs says no, absolutely not. You're going up the racetrack, my good friend, and he backs out. Up front, though. Cue the Jaws theme. Alex McCullum sees the front of the field before Ty Majeski or Ryan Kuhn as the 3 of them work their way through the top end of this field. We're about halfway through. The sun is setting in the background. Perfect stage as the lights come on. And slowly you can see on board here, McCullum is just taking chips out of this lead. This is the first time we've seen anybody close in on the 60 car over the course of a run. And I think before too long, we'll see a fight there. Meanwhile, Ryan Kuhn is in his own fight. Harberts goes by. There's Cabry. And I can only imagine the position that Ryan's in here. He wants to defend, wants to keep everything he can, but at the same time, how much is that going to tear up his tires? If he continues to put up a fight with each and every one of these cars, is that going to benefit or hurt him in the long run? Side by side, he goes with Cabry down to turn 1. Trayton Lapsevich in behind. He'll be next up on this conveyor belt, unless Ryan can find some space. Just went past cross flags. Dustin Monburquette is headed the wrong direction. Dustin's down to 16th spot. Devin Onzo goes on by. Cody Kelly hanging on after some contact earlier. Devin Landry back through the field. He's actually got Kelly to worry about right there at a turn number 3. Trevor Edwards ahead of that 40 car. And Monburquette has got problems. He's down to 19th spot. Caden Lapsovich. Kyle Meyer went by that last lap. Caution out, and that's going to be Joe Schaefer Jr. again. The Epic Media Ford Mustang having some trouble. We'll take a look as to how. Pops the wall. It's a bit ugly. He decided he had enough. We'll go back a little bit, see what was going wrong for him. Started up front, started third, ran as high as second. This is the opposite, of course, of how this night was supposed to go for him, maybe. Got turned around by Trayton Lapsovich. I'm sure that was the last nail in the coffin. Well, this is the last nail in the coffin. I guess the first handful of nails in the coffin was that spin off of Lapsovich's nose. And here, doomed to a fate of hitting the wall. Dustin Monburquette in the pit lane, and car 16 is taking a decently length. Well, I say lengthy repair. 11 seconds in iRacing is not too long. Just one other car in the pits, and that, as you might expect, is Joe Schaefer Jr. taking a tow. He likely can't even get back in his car. And now, how about a mid-race commentator edition? Zach Murda's watching. He's been a part of Pit Stop TV for a long time. Hasn't been in a broadcast in a handful of weeks, almost months. Feels like years, though, Zach. We join in. Lap 70 now complete under caution. And this race is starting to shape up. The one car, Alex McCullum, second in the standings, gets clear of Josh Cottle and now puts chase to Parker Traves, at least that last little green flag run. Problem is, Zach, the bottom side is by far the way to go. If you're in Alex's position, of course, you've run some legend car races in your time in the real world at Charlotte Motor Speedway, a plethora of races on iRacing.com. If you're Alex here, what's the game plan?
The game plan is maybe pull a little psychology, we'll call it. Maybe door check Parker Traves a little bit, try to get in his head a little, make him mess up on the restarter, or just try to find a way to fall in line as quickly as you possibly can. You got Ty Majeski, one of the best that I've ever seen in a late model, whether it be on the sim or in real life, right behind him. So, best case scenario, get to the bottom, or if you can clear it on the top, just full send, in my opinion. Just get it out there and get it going.
Give me a break to grab a drink of water. Parker Traves is going to come around and lead us to the green, just like he's done every time so far this evening, into the restart zone. Back green flag, and the race one wraps 125. The top two get single file. McCullum already looking on Traves. Nowhere that time in turn 3. Ryan Kuhn on the bottom side. He'll get back to work. Cole Cabry, Ty Majeski, the odd men out on the top side of the racetrack up front. Brett Suggs as well on the top side.
McCullum. Oh, Parker Traves in the wall.
Oh, our leader! Oh. Across the nose of McCullum. He's going to gather it up, but he hit the separation in the wall.
Majeski's in the wall.
How much of that car is actually working as it's supposed to? You see the bumper is hanging off of that number 60.
And there it goes.
There it goes.
Debris caution, anybody?
If we don't have to worry about it. 50 laps to go, though. Can our leader hang on? No front bumper. You'd have to imagine that would have no front downforce now, right? I mean, it'd be a parachute in the air, but Maybe iRacing doesn't go to that extent with this car. That's crazy.
Fights back here for the 4th and 5th place position. Majeski trying to find a way around as we got cars all over the place, and so we got a caution on the speedway.
We do. Dylan Bates looks like maybe in trouble. Keith Jeffries straight to the pits. Well, what we really need to do is see if we can go back and catch that moment for Parker Traves. This is coming around to the restart. It was what, 2 laps in, so we'll advance a little bit. I believe it was this time around. So this is to the stripe. And just watch in the backstretch this time. I believe this is the time that he's going to grab the fence. And sure enough, boom! Pulls the bumper right off, and wow, how they didn't crash those two down in turn 3 is beyond me.
Your guess is about as good as mine there, Andrew. I don't even know what to say. I think Parker Traves just caught where the track inlet is, right there at the gate.
Pulled the Michael Waltrip. The, was it Mike Harmon got it?
I think so. We're talking about Bristol. I think that was Harmon. There's Majeski in the wall.
Michael Waltrip was the first to do it. Parker Traves makes it look a little bit more stylish, doing it from the race lead. I can't believe he isn't more destroyed and crashed down in turn 3. Then there were problems for Keith Jeffrey back here. He got the wall pretty hard, it looks like. He came down to the pit lane. And
off the racetrack.
Something else happened. I'm not sure even with who to bring out the caution. Dylan Bates, maybe? Yeah, there he is.
Ooh. Just stopped right there in turn 2.
He was racing with Cody Kelly. Let's take a good look at what happened between the 75 and 91. Kelly got the wall earlier by help of somebody else. This time, though, does the helping, and Bates backs it into the fence. Thankfully, on iRacing, that is not nearly the amount of repairs required as it would be for a real car. However, this still concerns me. I can't believe this.
Parker Traves still on the racetrack. It's quite astonishing, to be perfectly honest.
I still can't believe that. Here's a look from the pace car. I mean, that is just an absurd scene.
Well, I mean, he could still win this race. It doesn't seem like it's slowing him down on pace or anything. He's still trucking, Andrew. I think he still got a shot at it.
iRacing always seems to find a new way. All of these leagues and drivers, they always find a way to throw me something new that I've never seen before. There it is today. The race leader grabs the brake in the wall, the crossover gate, and tears his own bumper off, but keeps leading. Back green flag at New Smyrna. All eyes on car number 60. Can he hang on this restart? And more importantly, can he not hit that crossover gate?
I would hate to see what happens if he hits it again. It's there, side by side, all the way through the field behind them. Colin and Traves maybe being able to, excuse me, I'm a little tongue-tied, getting single filed out. Now the top 3, top 4 looks like getting single file as look at Ty Majeski trying to look and take an inside move there on Harvard. He's going to fall in line. He will hold on to that 5th position, but for how long? As he's got Cabry and Kuhn.
Oh, Trayton Lapsevich into the wall. Not too hard, but that'll do the damage it needs to, I suppose. And
right behind Ty Majeski.
Second race in a row that the 20 has been tipped around, although very different circumstances. Was leading at Irwindale a week ago. Got tipped around by netcode contact from McCollum, who went on to win the race. I think maybe that might be a good omen for Jim Cottle Jr.
Potentially.
Well, I say that, he's going to have to go to the rear, whereas Alex didn't last week.
Well, I'm sure one driver, Parker Traves, is happy to see that, and there you see the contact going into one. Like you said, Andrew, rear end damage, not exactly too big of a hindrance. We saw one car spinning on the apron back there.
That was Kyle Meyer after the fact. We'll take a look here. He's racing with Eric Tracy. That's the black and yellow 66 just behind. Cameron Hamilton, the blue 10. But as that crash happens, Kyle Meyer actually gets into Cameron Hamilton. Dickinson does a great job of checking up, but still gets a piece. And shout out to Mom Burkett and Owlette getting the brakes in time.
Very good heads-up driving by both those drivers, and just a bottleneck situation. It tends to happen a lot of the times in the short tracks. You aren't really involved in the main incident, but sometimes you get a little collected. We see a few drivers here on pit road getting a little bit of damage repair from what it looks like, Andrew.
Well, and Jim Cottle Jr. actually has taken a tow to the pit lane. He, I think, realizing he was going to have that penalty to go to the rear, has actually parked the car down there, a pit stall away from Joe Schaefer Jr. And I wonder if that was maybe out of frustration to first look at the replay, see that, sure enough, he was up the racetrack a little bit. And, you know, that almost goes back to the road course, I guess, methodology where you're the passing car. It's your job to facilitate the pass cleanly. Yeah, and the car that you are passing has the right to choose their racing line. In this case, Trayton was going to come down the racetrack a little further than maybe Jim expected, but Jim's got to be ready for that, and unfortunately he wasn't. And that was our spin. And that sends Trayton back to, what, 18th?
My goodness. That is definitely going to be a climb back up, especially when we're just under 40 laps to go. And you may think, that's a lot of laps still, and there's still a lot of time to go, but at short tracks, it clicks off very, very quickly. As you see these drivers getting ready to start doubling up, I think we'll get lights out right here.
iRacing.com safety car extinguishing its safety lights. Want to go signal from the flag stand. This will give us 36 laps to go. You see Grant Brown, everybody packing up, re-racking, restacking, as we say. Love that line.
I think the one driver really happy to see all these cautions is Parker Traves. The less laps he has to run under green with that nose, the better.
At the same time, he's in this position because of the cautions. He might have a larger gap to McCullum. If it had gone green earlier, back green though, in the race 1 wraps 125, Parker Traves got going on the restart. McCullum trying to stay ahead of Cottle, and he will.
Yeah, they started bottlenecking back there right behind Ryan Kuhn. It really started the accordion effect as the top three try to get single file. McCullum Traves out and away, but Cottle and Harberts are still right next to each other going into one. Cottle's going to clear.
Harbert's going to get in line. Majeski now trying to clear the 54 of Cabry. It might be in Cole's best interest to try and get a gap in behind the 98 car and ahead of Ryan Kuhn. That's going to be tough, though, to get in front of car 72. That's not easy.
Yeah, Ryan Kuhn, definitely one driver to look out for behind the wheel of a super late model as he is still. Look at Cabry taking a move to the inside.
That was the gap he needed. That was the gap he needed here on lap 92. Gets in line. Grayson Ward in a battle with Trayton Lapsevich as car 20 starts to come back through the field. Dylan Bates now ahead. It's going to be tough. I mean, you outlined. We're inside of 40 to go. We're nearly down to 30 to go, Zach, and he's down at 16th spot. That's tough.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a large pill to swallow, but it looks like, oh, we got the caution on the speedway now.
John Owlette turned around. That is not the first time today. It's not even the first time that it's been on the front stretch.
My goodness.
Apparently, when it happens to you, boy, does it happen to you. When you're having a bad day, it really compounds. Here's the 8 car. Grayson Ward up top.
Oh, my goodness. It's kind of meet in the middle thing right there, honestly.
Another look at it. We got a drone on the front stretch that I think is perfect for this. And when they come around the corner, you see a little bit of contact there. I'll light up the racetrack. And boom, wall.
Well, Andrew, you know what they say. When it rains, it pours.
And the pour a drink. Never heard that part?
I have not, actually.
That's the, anytime anybody says that to me, that's the rest of the line. I think that's in a song. Regardless, Parker Traves, now inside of 30 to go. Earlier in this race, he worked out nearly a half-second gap over, I think it was Schaefer in second spot. It was the 60 and the 6 out front, so that sounds right. And if it had just gone green from there, I think he might be in a lot better position. Maybe wouldn't have been pushing on these restarts to have knocked the nose off, but The reality of the situation is he brought a modified to a late model race, and if it truly was, actually, if it was a modified, he'd be in a much better position.
Well, Andrew, I can say for certain that I've never heard that part of the, the poor drink, but I can certainly tell you that I know one person who has, and I think we just got a hit on that from Mr. David Land himself. Or, excuse me, not David Land, David Levine.
Yes, David Levine from Lucky Motorsports Solutions elevated street stocks on Tuesday evenings that we've got for the next 2 broadcasts. Chiming in, it looks like he's watching out there. And hey, you know what? If you are watching, YouTube chat has been very, very calm. We've got an extended caution here while things get reviewed. This is your opportunity. If you are watching, let us know where you're watching from, maybe who you're pulling for. There's plenty of options. Personally, if you're watching this race and you don't have previous alliances, I don't know how you can't root for the 60. Considering he's knocked his own nose off, saved it as he came down across the nose of the 1 car as a result of all of that, and has stayed out front since. I never in my days have I seen something quite like that.
I don't think I've ever really seen anything like that either. Definitely an interesting situation, but hey, he's still leading. He's not concerned or anything. He's just trucking along there, Andrew, doing his thing.
26 laps to go this time by. I don't know if I'd say he isn't concerned. There's probably at least a bit of concern. You've got second place in the points right behind, and yeah, he's concerned. He got going immediately. Green flag back out. He took the earliest opportunity he could on the restart, puts as much time between himself and the 1 car as possible. It might not be enough, though. Into turn 3, side by side for third. Cottle on the inside, caution. And it's a big one in the back.
Oh my goodness, 4 cars getting back going.
Tracy, Meyer, Dickinson, and Ward.
Well, that's not what they wanted to see. I'm sure that's not what a few other drivers wanted to see as well.
Watch car number 9, black, red, and white. Going to involve that Eric Tracy machine, black and yellow just ahead, and maybe, yeah, that...
Pretty wide.
That is what we're going to call a low percentage move.
My goodness. More cars involved than we initially thought. Like 7 or 8 drivers maybe involved in that one, or at least collected with some damage.
Yeah, that's... Again, I go back to the terminology low percentage move. You would not catch me doing this even to AI. I think anytime you stick your nose up underneath somebody in the center of the corner, you can bet yourself they're going to be coming back down to the apex on corner exit. And he's with the rest of the field. Ward was the outlier. I mean, short track racing, I guess. You're looking for a spot, you're trying to find something, but at the same time, you're racing for 20th, maybe? Maybe reconsider the next time around, unfortunately.
I would say there are the occasions where you have that mentality of, if the hole's open, go for it. I mean, we all remember what Ayrton Senna said.
There are stipulations to that. I think that might be one of the stipulations as the field cycles around under caution. Lap 103 of 125. I didn't expect these last-minute cautions, but it does give us one more opportunity to, again, focus on the sheer number of partners with this series, and there's a lot of racing these guys do, week in, week out. 3 different series, plus a 4th, actually, if you count the National Series that kicked off this past week with their running of the World Series of Asphalt here at New Smyrna. I hear it was a good race, and they'll be continuing on at Hickory in March. Regardless, though, 1-8 Coffee Company, Pedley's Garage, Pierce Fleet Service, of course, the name, title partner, that's what we're looking for, title partner of the series. Race1Wraps.com, the presenting partner this evening, RS Center Trucking, SARA Next Gen Templates, Sim Wrap Market, Susan Media, Studio 10 Wraps, Toxic Media Solutions, on down the line, Boyd's Automotive, Crow Sim Shots, Davis Chassis Works, DriverTees.com, Fast AF Designs, Hyde's Pride, International Short Track Association, Jeff By Jr. Art, Justin Brooks Designs, and Matthews Designs. Green flag back in the air. It happens quick at New Smyrna. Parker Traves a big jump once again, and Harberts is properly on the inside of that one car.
They are side by side, still on the quarter panel. McCullum might clear going into 3. He's got a bumper.
Contact there. Alex hangs on. He's going to clear him into turn 1 this time.
And that is exactly what McCullum needed. He's still got about 19 laps to go.
Caution.
Oh,
that's the 91 car. Dylan Bates again. I don't even know if we need a replay. There's one graphic to show here. Dylan Bates comes in 5th in the standings. And inside of 20 to go, after getting spun again, the 91 car is where? 24th.
Well,
I think you can kiss P5 goodbye.
Crazier things have happened.
Yes. But I don't know if that's the crazy we want. But I suppose it's maybe in the cards. Let's take a look back. We don't need the replay. We'll get the replay for car 91. This is at a turn 1 with Trayton Lapsevich inside, and Trayton he drifted up ever so slightly. That's another one of those situations. Trayton didn't do anything wrong. They just made contact.
It was a bit of a 3-wide situation there for a moment. Just looking out the mirror of the 91. Ooh, that's net code.
Yeah, very light contact. And you know what? That's the view that you don't get very often. We'll go through that one more time. You rarely get this view when you're back, reviewing incidents. This is maybe one that you want to go back and use if you're Trayton Lapsevich in this case. On the inside, and they kind of just meet in the middle. The 91's coming back down for the apex. They never made contact. They might have. But that netcode contact, Zach, is always harder contact than if you actually lean on body panels. I don't know why. Because we don't have soft bodies in iRacing. It's not like BeamNG Drive, where you can actually lean on body panels, or I guess it's not like real life, I should say. Where you can lean on body panels and those panels give to where you can actually drive like that, a little bit of contact and be okay. These bodies are very rigid in the sim, and especially when you get that net code, which is just difference of prediction code on the sim side, which we could talk more about, but we don't have the time. That net code contact is very, very stiff. In addition to the stiff bodies, you rarely save that kind of contact.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see a lot with what goes on when it comes to the body styles. I don't know if the super late models have the composite body style like most of the other cars do on the sim, though.
I mean, it's a 5-star body. I'd have to imagine at this point it's some combination at the very least, but hey, we're going to have 13 laps to go. This time the lights are on, the sun is down, track temp starting to drop maybe a little bit. We've got an opportunity here for Alex McCullum. 13 laps to go, green flag back in the air. Traves nails the restart, and let's see what Harberts can do.
Up the inside, they're side by side coming off of turn 2.
Crash! That's
big crash.
Caden Lapsevich in the 76. And that actually ended up being pretty tame.
Looked like it was going to be bigger than it was, but not really a lot of damage on that car. It looks like he'll be able to keep going.
Turned around midfield. This is going to be Rocky Boyd on the inside, but Brett Suggs in the 33 kind of came down. Not sure if it was from contact with the 76 or what exactly had happened to initiate that. There's the green flag, and watch that black, white, and red 76 car. Yellow trim on the nose. Suggs goes up. Unfortunately, that's just a late race restart. I mean, again, that's just a lot of cars with not very much space. Although I'm curious, because watch the 72 here, Zach. This is pretty well towards the front of the field. I mean, Ryan Kuhn restarted 6th.
My goodness.
And
Got a shot right there.
yeah, Brett got into him, and that's what stacked them all up. Which, when you take that into consideration, that almost leads me to place blame on Brett Suggs in the 33. He got into the 72. That caused the chain reaction where the 72 had to lift, he had to lift, and he came down the racetrack then into Caden Lapsevich. And that all kind of compounds off of that one moment on corner entry.
Well, it's like you see on the highway. Car stops in front of you, you stop behind, car behind you stops. It's the accordion effect. It's how we all see it sometimes. But, Andrew, we're within 10 laps to go now. Things are going to start heating up. You've got Trayton Lapsevich, who's only worked himself back up to 13th. You've still got Parker Traves trying to hang on to Alex McCullum. And these cautions, they're just going to keep compounding, and someone's going to get a little aggressive the closer we get to this checkered flag.
You know what they call that chain reaction, especially on the highway?
What?
Called a rubberneck.
A rubberneck?
Called rubbernecking.
I've never heard that, but I'm also from the north, so at the same time, I don't know if that's ever been said up there.
Well, we're going to have just on the far side of 5 to go. Let's see, this will take us to at least 119 before we go green, which would be 7 laps to go, I think, is how the math works out there. And based on Traves and McCullum here getting alongside, I'd say this is 1 to go from the flag stand. So sure enough, we'll have 7 laps remaining. And all night long, it's been position 1 on these restarts. He has led every single lap. 117 laps led. That is a tall, tall number.
But you want to know the great thing about that number, Andrew?
What's that?
Doesn't even matter. Doesn't matter. As we get close to the end of this race, you could lead all the laps, but the only one that matters is the last one.
If anybody's going to do it, there we go. It might be Alex McCullum. Green flag back in the air. 7 laps to go, and the race 1 wraps 125. And McCullum quickly gets clear of Jacob Harberts. That is big time important as he sets Chase back on the 60 car.
And he is as close as he's ever been, Andrew. We've got 6 laps to go in the line. Harberts is fighting with Majeski. That's exactly what McCullum needs to see. He can only focus on who's in front, and look at that. Purple, 16.9 for McCullum.
That was the best lap on the racetrack of the entire race as he works on the number 60 car out of turn 4. That time, McCullum gets a small piece of the fence, and he was not quicker that lap, but they are together at this point as third on back stacks up. 5 to go.
Harbert's still fighting with Majeski and Cottle as Cabry's still trying to work a way around somehow. 4 laps to go. McCullum just under 0.2 of a second behind race leader Parker Traves. Come back around to 3 laps to go this time, Andrew, and it looks like Traves is...
Ty Majeski in trouble. Car 98 in the outside wall. Caution will fly. Oh, boy.
He's got that wheel cranked inside that race car. Well, then again, maybe not.
Oh, just wait for it. That was around a corner. Yeah, that's...
Oh.
That was almost comically damaged.
I believe that is his night over.
Absolutely. And we'll ride on board here from the driver's eye perspective as we go into SARA overtime. Got turned around, it looks like, hard on the wall, and that was Josh Cottle. That was the car behind.
That type of impact is obviously going to take out your right front tire. As you see, everyone made it safely by.
Watch here, off into turn 1. Time might have come down. I think time might have come down a little bit into Josh. I think that's going to be on the 98.
Take a look here from camera up top the racetrack.
Comes off the wall right there.
Well,
one camera shows the 98 go down, the next shows the 13 go up.
That's a hard one to crack right there.
Tell you what, let's watch from Cole Cabry's perspective, because he's on the racetrack. This is a good reference. But from Cabry's perspective, who goes where? Because the wall juts to the left. And see, that I feel like shows Majeski go down.
I'm going to have to side with you on that one because we all see how the wall grabs out a little bit coming through turn 4. You have to come to the left just ever so slightly to not hit the wall on the front stretch. You can see it even right here on this camera view. You can see how the wall comes in. Drivers have to come to the left, and unfortunately, it bit Ty Majeski a little bit too hard.
I'm trying to see if we can get back to a decent angle. Maybe the, well... Anyhow, you raise a very good point. The wall is not straight on the front stretch here, and I think it invites those kinds of incidents, unfortunately. But that's just the way the track is built, and I can think of multiple racetracks like that, actually. Ace Speedway up in Altamaha, North Carolina. Very, very similar. Although, and you know, I'd love to know the story as to why New Smyrna looks like this, because it could be similar. Ace Speedway used to be much shorter. It used to be, I'd say, 2/3 of the length it is now. They extended the racetrack out into the fan parking and such in turns 1 and 2. And when they did that, they left the little bit of a bow in the wall, but then straight into the wall, into the corner. And you'd have to look up pictures, maybe Google Earth images of it, but at least to properly understand, you'd have to look it up. But Ace Speedway, very unique. I wonder if they have similar stories, but we're about to go back racing at the virtual New Smyrna Speedway. Green, white, checkered, SARA overtime. We're back at it in the race 1 wraps 125. Parker Traves lights out off the restart. Big jump on McCullum, but that's not all. 2 laps to go. McCullum onto the inside. Big block from Parker.
He tried. He couldn't get there, but here we come back around, Andrew.
1 lap to go, brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams, off into turn number 1. And is there anything this one car can do? He's going to have to dive in turn number 3. He's not going to get there. And Parker Traves will be your 3rd race winner on the season. He wins the race 1 wraps 125 with no front bumper.
Is this a multi-class race? Because I don't think modifieds are supposed to be racing with super late models.
Brought a modified to a late model race, and it worked out. How bizarre is that? And let's see if he does some burnouts here at the end. Parks it right in victory lane, and the 60 car has maybe never looked better. Unbelievable still. I simply cannot wrap my head around that. How he ends up shearing the bumper off of the car, but is perfectly fine in the end. Unbelievable. Let's go ahead and take a look back at your unofficial race results when it's all said and done. Car 60, of course, with the win. Alex McCullum, 2nd spot. Jacob Harberts, Josh Cottle, Cole Caber, your top 5, Zach.
Yeah, just a stacked top 5. Everyone was so close together. Ryan Kuhn just behind them. Not too far behind even Trevor Edwards, Devin Landry, and Rocky Boyd III. And then Trayton Lapsevich pulled back a top 10 finish. Absolutely outstanding for him. A lot of those cautions played into his favor, but definitely could have been more for him. I feel real bad. He could have just been able to put that car up there a little bit better, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
And there's a lot of notables actually in just the 6th through 10th. I think every one of those drivers is a notable. Ryan Kuhn, because he finishes much lower than he has the rest of the season. He was 1st at Kern County, 2nd at Irwindale a week ago, and 6th here today. That might flip the points script just a little bit and give McCullum an advantage after this race. Trevor Edwards, Devin Landry, Rocky Boyd, they were all in the back most of this race. Edwards was in a caution very, very early. I think the first caution of the night. Slowly drove forward, finishes 7th. Some crazy storylines throughout this entirety of the top 10. I mean, Cabry and Cottle in the top 5 as well. Really good runs from each of those drivers. Brett Suggs ends up hanging on for 11th. He had a pretty tumultuous day. Cody Kelly, Tyler DiVinanzo, quiet. Dustin Monburquette, don't know what happened to his car earlier, but he rallies back to 14th as Blake Thronberg goes 15th.
Yeah, Cameron Hamilton right behind him. Spencer Dickinson, Caden Lapsevich after getting involved in a few incidents on track towards the end of that race. Still holds on to an 18th place finish. Grant Brown, Eric Tracy rounding out your top 20 finishers. And it was still a decent day for a few of these drivers. They were able to hold on to what they had even after a lot of those cautions towards the end of the race.
I can't get over Devin Landry, Rocky Boyd, Trevor Edwards, those guys that end up finishing in the top 10. There's storylines all throughout this field. Go down to the final page results. Kyle Meyer down there. Dylan Bates. Got a feel for that guy. 5th place coming in. 22nd in these results. John Owlett, too. I mean, he's up there in the point standings. He has to take a provisional just to get into the race. Ends up 24th. Ty Majeski, of course, was up front all race until his little incident there with Josh Cottle. Grayson Ward in the back. Jim Cottle Jr., Joe Schaefer, Kyle Eli was in like every crash that he could have been in. No fault of his own in the first 25 laps and called it a day after that. I can't blame him. If you're in that many accidents to get the day going, I certainly, I guess, sympathize is the word with what's going on there. But let's bring in our race winner, Jacob Harberts, who ends up leading every single lap, 129 in total, with no front bumper at the end. You brought a modified to a late model race. You won, Parker. What happened mid-race there at the crossover gate?
Not to ruin it, but I am Jacob Harberts, not Parker Trace.
I'm sorry. I saw 80. I went for
Wrong guy.
Yeah, went for 60. There is Parker Traves, not Jacob Harberts. We'll be talking to Jacob in a minute. But Parker, I'll ask you the question that I asked Jacob accidentally. What happened at the crossover gate?
I just hit the wall. Just ran out of talent and drove right into it.
Well, maybe you ran out of talent for a moment. You gained it all back when you held onto the car as McCullum was up the tailpipe off of the turn 3. How did you hang on those last few restarts? Did the car feel any different?
Yeah, it definitely just like made it super free in, but I was kind of tight before that and it kind of evened out, so I just had to back up my corner. I know Alex was better on entry because of it, but just had to get it pointed straight and it had really good drive off.
I've heard of hitting the wall to adjust the toe, and maybe the car drives better after that. That might be to an extreme, though. But hey, it's a lot of points for you, certainly, in this third round of the season. Is this something to build on going into Nashville in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, we've just been working hard on our program. We have struggled the last couple of weeks, and I think we ran Tuesday night and rebuilt the whole setup again, and it was a lot better tonight, but we still got some work to do. Just need a little bit to catch Alex and Cody still.
Well, Parker, you're certainly there. Solid qualifying effort. Had to be in the top 8 to get the points realignment. And, hey, 129 laps led. That's a pretty good day. Hopefully we're talking to you in Nashville.
Perfect. Thank you. Hope to see you guys in Nashville.
Parker Traves, hopefully we're talking to him at the end of that race in a couple of weeks. Zach, how about the guy who goes P2, though? This is his 3rd straight finish inside the top 2. 2nd after starting on pole at Kern County. Won last time out at Irwindale. And now comes out here to Florida, stays up in the front. It's Alex McCullum.
Yeah, Alex McCullum putting on a masterclass of being able to stay up front, especially with all the cautions and everything going on, being stuck on the outside line. 2 U.S. Legend Cars alum sweeping the top 2. Alex, how was your race, man? How did everything feel going forward, especially with, trying to get to Parker Traves with that damage?
Yeah, I just need green flag laps. I mean, I think our car was going to be really good on the long run. It's just unfortunate we couldn't get a long run, but it's so hard to make a pass with these restarts because it's just got time to restart and try to set up a pass. But overall, really good points tonight for me. What we needed, and keep the momentum going.
Well, you did an absolutely outstanding job being able to keep that car up front, especially with getting stuck on the outside quite a few times. And there were some moments where Cottle was able to get to your inside, not Cottle, Harberts, and get to your inside and just kind of keep you pinned up there. Did you have anything going through your head on, were you going to get stuck on the outside for too long and fall back a little bit more, or just be able to keep that car in second?
Honestly, I think my car was really good, so I was able to put it anywhere I wanted. So I think I would have been fine up top. I was kind of trying to time these restarts a little bit better. So I think if I got the Parker's door on the outside there, I think we would have rolled top. But it's just so hard to time the restart because you don't know when he's going, and you don't want to fire too early and get a jump start penalty. So honestly, rather have a second than have an unfortunate mistake going.
Absolutely. Well, you did an absolutely outstanding job tonight, bringing home a 2nd place finish, and that should help your points today. So congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you in Nashville.
Thank you.
And that was Alex McCullum, your 2nd place finisher. And now let's bring in Andrew, who you said a second ago was a race winner, but actually he's the 3rd place finisher.
The man I so rudely interrupted and already spoke to once. Jacob Harberts, I promise we're supposed to be talking to you this time. Car 80, third place. You've been up front the last couple of weeks. We're talking to you here after 129 laps. Somehow you stay up front and outlast everything else, all the chaos on those restarts. But is there anything maybe that you feel like you could have done to get Alex there late?
Man, I'll be honest. I was junk, but I did not have a third place car. I was just nailing the restarts really and staying out of trouble. I was just good enough to where, if I hit the restart right, I could maybe pull a guy on the outside or hold on to a spot. And just everything just seemed to work in my favor. So I didn't really have anything for the top two, and I think a lot of the guys even behind me were quite a bit quicker. But like I said, we just kind of nailed every single restart and got lucky, of course.
Now, of course, Parker started on pole. He didn't have to deal with the conveyor belt at all. Then Alex used the bottom and perfectly got through. He made quick work of that conveyor belt. But Jacob, you were on the opposite side at one point in this race. You went back on the top side, fell back to 8th. How difficult is it to maintain the top side, try to defend, also try not to eat your tires up, and then when you finally find a hole, get back into the groove and start moving forward?
It just kind of depends on what line the guy on the inside wants to run. When you're on the outside, if the guy on the inside wants to run the bottom in 1 and 2, you have a chance to hang on or to even pull him on the outside. But if the guy on your inside wants to just run the second groove the whole way, that doesn't play in your favor. If you're on the outside, he'll get you. So I mean that was what I was doing. Whenever I was on the inside, was trying to keep the car up as much as possible without dooring them. But a lot of the guys were racing really nice there at the end, and I was able to kind of take advantage of that on the outside and gain a couple spots.
Pretty clean racing up front. Do you feel like you have something at Nashville in a couple weeks?
We certainly hope so. We're definitely going to have to start testing and tuning for that. These bank tracks aren't really, they don't really play in my favor. I like the flat, small bouldering tracks, but we're going to see what we got. We got, back-to-back top 3 finishes, so we're going to try and build off that momentum and keep the season going.
Well, congrats on the second top 3 in just as many weeks, and hopefully we're talking to you again at Nashville in a couple weeks.
Yep, thank you.
Jacob Harbert's car number 80 finishes up towards the front once again, and a shout out certainly deserved for everybody in the top 10. That was a tough race to outlast, especially there towards the end, getting all those cautions late. Zach, if we take a look at the race info tab, 13 cautions for 65 laps. It didn't feel like that until the very end. It was a pretty good race, honestly, through the midsection. Got a decent little green flag run in for a little bit. Just unfortunate that it only takes that one incident to kick off the snowball down the hill, and it all just collects and piles up. Pun intended.
Yeah, spending half the race, actually just a little over half the race under the caution flag, and that is a little unfortunate for a few of these drivers who I know had a lot of fast pace and got hindered by a lot of these cautions, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes on the short tracks, especially when it comes to there being a high car count, and it tends to happen sometimes. So you just got to try to roll with the punches, take it as it is, and hopefully in some way, shape, or form it can end up working out in your favor.
Well, once again, a big thank you to 1-8 Coffee Company, Pedley's Garage, Here's Fleet Service, race1wraps.com, there we go, RS Center Trucking, SARA Next Gen Templates, SimWrapMarket.com, Sousa Media, Studio 10 Wraps, Toxic Media Solutions. A shout out as well, of course, to Boyd's Automotive, Crow Sim Shots, Dassy, boy, I just combined Davis and Chassis. Davis Chassis Works, there we go. DriverTees.com, Fast AF Designs, Hyde's Pride, International Short Track Association, Def by Junior Art, Justin Brooks Designs, and Matthews Designs. It's all unraveling. Just like some of the cautions at the end, it's unraveling here in the booth as well, Zach. But you know what? Good to have you joining us right there at the end as well. I guess halfway through the race or so. What do you take away from this? Your first experience on this side of the SARA Super Series?
Well, even just watching tonight was absolutely amazing. Like, these guys, their talent level is amazing. I've I've known a few of these drivers as well, Alex McCullum, Ryan Kuhn. I've met a few of them when it comes to, being around the short tracks like Charlotte Motor Speedway or even at the high banks of Daytona. I met Ryan Kuhn over at the ARCA Test this year, and, such a great guy. And a lot of these drivers I've raced with personally, and, the talent level speaks for itself. These drivers are just amazing, and the setups they have in these cars are absolutely outstanding. I wouldn't actually mind getting on track with them at one point during their season, but we'll see how all that goes. I absolutely love being up here in the booth with you as well, Andrew. Amazing races to cover.
Of course, while this series is invite only, the Contender Series, if you're out here watching this evening and you like what you see, the Contender Series races on Wednesday evenings. They take late model stocks to, I think, just about the same schedule, maybe a couple of differences across the 11 race season. But for the most part, at least, the same schedule, all the same, I guess, schedule length. And they ended up with 4 splits here last night at New Smyrna. That's how popular that Contender Series gets. Of course, you have to really go through the ranks to get brought up. So this, I know maybe the cautions makes it seem like maybe it's not, but I promise you, these are probably 30 of the 60 best, we'll say, in late model racing, thereabouts, on the sim. I'm sure there's exceptions to that rule, but some of the best drivers for sure that you'll find anywhere on iRacing in a super late model. Here's what's coming up next for us, though. Tuesday evening, February the 13th, we head out to Martinsville Speedway, that half mile with some street stocks, Lucky Motorsport Solutions Elevated Performance Street Stocks. Then we have just about a week off until we go back at it with those guys at Myrtle Beach Speedway in the virtual Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Thankfully, the track is still here on iRacing. Should be a lot of fun in the Final Four cutoff race that we talked a little bit about earlier on. Then it's out to Talladega with some trucks for the SARG Super Speedway Series in their 4th round of 7 before we rejoin these guys heading out to Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway on February the 22nd. And in case you missed it earlier on, we are back on Twitch. Follow us. Pit_stop_TV over on Twitch. First broadcast of that platform in around about a calendar year. Good to be back over on Twitch, which means we're back on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Kick for all these broadcasts. And of course, social media updates on Instagram as well. One more time, I promise. We're headed out to Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, not the Super Speedway in Lebanon. We're headed out to Nashville proper. The Studio 10 Wraps partnered race, 125 laps there for race number 4. Then it's out to Southern National for 173 in the virtual Lucama, North Carolina. Zach, one more time, parting thoughts, impressions leaving round number 3 of the season?
I want to know what that mystery night is that we saw on the schedule there. That looks a little interesting, but these guys are tearing it up on the racetrack in such a great way. I see a lot of clean racing throughout the field, and even before I hopped in the booth with you, Andrew, I was tuning into the broadcast, seeing how everything was going, and I really liked what I saw. These guys were tearing it up and doing it in such a great way that really makes you want to watch racing. Just tune in and be a part of the action.
I know they had a larger number of cautions maybe than the racing really warranted tonight. Had a few incidents that were really just the smallest bit of contact, and that's the way it goes. When you're humming around these tracks as fast as these super late models go, that net code kind of breaks apart a little bit. You'll have that every once in a while. We saw it at Irwindale. We saw it again tonight. It's just a product of this car on these tight racetracks like this. You're bound to have those little moments, but all in all, a lot of clean racing, even with the small incidents that kind of compounded and took over there at the end. It is so good to be here. It really is. We partnered up with the Sim Auto Racing Association. It's been a great night this evening. Make sure to tune in next week, not next week, in 2 weeks, when we head out to Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Otherwise, join us Tuesday evening, February the 13th, when we head out to Martinsville Speedway with some street stocks for Lucky Motorsport Solutions guys. Otherwise, a big thank you to all of our partners, of course, across the board, and the groups at the bottom of your screen. In audio, ATV, Whiplash SimCams, OBS, and iRacing.com. That is it for us. A thank you once again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.